We are live. Welcome back to another version of Liticast, another episode. I'm very excited to be. I'm in Studio B here. I guess it's not my normal place, but the alternate place, and I'm super excited for our guest today. And Shawn, we're gonna bring a little bit of energy. No midsummer doldrums today. We're gonna come crisp. We're gonna come hard. But Shawn Lehocky is Chief Strategy Officer at Pond Lehocky. One of our early clients, and Shawn has really embraced technology. He's really embraced analytics. He actually directed the firm's adoption of Liticast, our platform, and separately, Shawn's also the CEO of LegalOps, and that's a joint venture between Pond and Brio, which is a systems integrator that's been doing incredible work for us. And basically, they develop other applications, integrate Liticast into other law firms. Shawn, you're a busy guy, man. You're a busy guy. So welcome. Thank you so much for being here.
I appreciate you having me, Terry. I really appreciate Liticast doing things like this. I think you guys do a lot of innovative, cutting edge things. But I think one of the best things you guys do for this industry is building a community and empowering firms to collaborate together, not only when times are good, but when times are tough as well. And, a lot of organizations bring lawyers together for business development, but I think you guys really breed and cultivate a community of helping each other and building partnerships and friendships. And you guys have been a great vendor and friend to us. But even more so, I think you're a great partner to this whole industry. So I appreciate, doing things like this and the time you're spending on doing these events.
I might have just gotten a little emotional, Shawn. Thank you very much. That actually means a lot because and thank you to my team because it's a very deliberate effort to do that. We want to sort of be at the forefront. Listen, we all want to make money. We all want to build our business. We all want to, like you said, sort of do business development components. But I agree. I think it's super important to really be thinking about where the industry is going. It's a little cliche, but the rising tide, lifting all boats type of approach. A lot of times when we're thinking about Liticast and episodes we want to do and things we want to do, we really try to almost steer away from sort of the not technology, but being a commercial for anybody's product, so to speak, and really just sort of thinking about how do you deliver a great customer experience? What's going on? What are the trends? Who are just some very interesting people to talk to sort of share information and knowledge? Almost like a TED Talk sort of approach to this. So thank you. It's very nice of you to say, and I'll return the compliment that on top of being so adoptive and progressive with Liticast, you've been a great friend and a great partner. So I really appreciate that.
Appreciate it as well.
Cool. All right, so let's dive right in. Let's have a couple questions for you. First off, if before that, if you're following us on or came to us via YouTube or our own webcast on our website or LinkedIn or Facebook Live, thank you for joining us. Please ask questions in the chat stream. We're happy to answer. Shawn has got a wealth of knowledge around not just the SSD business, but the law firms in general, and really technology and business operations. Has got a very, very strong wealth of knowledge. So please ask away. But Shawn, just jumping right in, I'm curious, like, where do you see workers' comp claims now? What's changed? What does the landscape look like at this moment?
Yeah, so obviously it's been an up and down experience the last couple of months. I think since about July 15, I think we're getting back to normal. This week is going very well. We're seeing online traffic coming back to normal levels. For the last couple of months, I'd say we were probably 80% of what we would expect to be, but we're trending back to normal at this point. I think the industry and the landscape and how people are working have changed forever. I think it's a pendulum. I think, the pendulum swung to being fully remote. And I think, as vaccines come and as months progress, some of that will return back to being in office, but I don't think we'll ever get to a point where, people are 100% back in the offices the way they were in 2019. So comp, over the next 5-10 years is an interesting industry in general. Even prior to this happening, technology is coming in to manufacturing, automation is happening, products liability is taking over some things that were, those type of cases are now replacing what would traditionally been a comp case because machines and robots are taking over. So comp in general is very interesting landscape. And I think what we've dealt with the last couple months is a microcosm of probably what's going to happen over the next 5 or 10 years with changes in the industry.
So that's comp. Where are you seeing your guys' referrals, your SSD biz? Like what's the latest there?
Yeah, so SSD, we actually saw an increase in claims coming in the door over the past couple months. We talk, and Sam has given a lot of speeches about, parts of our business being counter cyclical to macroeconomic factors. So as people are out of work and looking for benefits, there's going to be a rise in SSD cases or disability cases and things like that, as people aren't able to do their jobs anymore, or there's not jobs available like that. So SSD is going really well. Referral practice has been very interesting to see over the last couple months. Early on in this process, we're in all 50 states. So we have the luxury of working with great partners for personal injury, work comp, mass torts, really the gamut of all legal cases in all the states. And it was very interesting to see, as New York was getting hit hard, how, some other states in the Midwest or the Southwest were doing really well. And then it's been interesting to kind of see this balance of, some states will come back really well while other ones are declining. So as a whole, I think, the country has gone through some tough times. But I think our referral business is really a microcosm of what we're going to talk about today. And that's being diverse in not only the states we're in, but the case types we're in and things like that. And I think that diversity has been really beneficial and really showed why it's so important over the last 6 months as well.
On that note, Shawn, you raise a good point there. And you guys are always, and again, I'm kind of openly kissing your butt a little bit, but you've been a great customer of ours from the beginning. And what I love about Shawn Lehocky I'm going to say as a business, not even as a firm, but you guys are constantly evaluating sort of what's next, what's working, really using sort of analytics to understand where the business is and where it should be going. But like over the last, call it 6 months, doing that introspection and that evaluation, what's changed? Like how are you engaging clients differently? Like what's been the shift?
Yeah. And I think this is something I was hoping to touch on today that other law firms can take away. And I'll actually issue a challenge to them after we discuss this. But, I think a lot of law firms make the mistake of they receive a certain amount of potential clients every month, and they try to convert cases out of those clients every month. And then the next month, a new batch of potential clients come in, and that keeps growing and evolving. But the way you should be looking at that is these are people I am receiving every month that need help. Right? And I should never write them off. I should never tell anyone in my database, no, I can't help you. There's going to be times where we can't help them for this specific injury that they're calling us today. But let me talk to them in general and see what else is going on in their life, because clearly they're in a tough spot. They need help. They're calling us, so they're vulnerable. And we need to be there to support them and have them understand that, hey, I can't help you for a workers' comp claim, but talk to me about how your back got injured a little bit. And then sometimes you figure out that it was actually a car accident they were in. And not only were they in the car, their 3 family members were in the car with them. So that's been a little bit, we've always had that in our DNA. But that has really been something to focus on heavily as, new cases or new injuries weren't happening at the same level we'd expect. How can we go back a few months and make sure we've talked to every client and helped every person we could, and we never wrote off a lead, and things like that. And I think a more specific example is there's people that return to work instead of pursuing a comp claim maybe 5 or 6 months ago. Those jobs are people that think they can return to work. Those jobs might not be there any longer. So was it an unsuccessful job attempt? Are you no longer working? Should we pick up your claim? How can we make sure that we don't have any slippage and that we're helping every client as possible? And I think that mindset of I'm trying to help people, especially at this time and all times, but how can I help the most amount of people every month? Not how can I spend money and convert cases is the analysis that you should be doing. And I think it's, number one, it's what we should be doing. It's why we're in this business. We need to be doing it with a positive attitude. We need to be reassuring. And no one in a vulnerable spot wants to be told that they can't be helped. So let's do everything we possibly can and run them through and see all the potential claims and mass torts and drug cases that they could potentially be eligible for.
That's great. It's funny when you were talking, you reminded me a little bit. Ed Herman of Brown and Crouppen was on a few weeks ago, and he was saying that almost the same thing in a sense that, if someone reaches out to you, first off, your marketing in some way, shape, or form worked because they know who you are and they feel comfortable in reaching out to you for some type of assistance. Now, maybe the assistance that they need right now is not necessarily in your wheelhouse or in your jurisdiction or whatever, but keeping that ongoing dialogue, or like you said, even taking it a step further, just understanding a little bit more about them, and maybe there is a way that you can help them outside of the reason that they called. But really, that sort of constant communication with those with clients or potential clients down the road is super important. So I know that Brown and Crouppen will take you up on that challenge, Shawn, because he was saying the exact same thing, that's something that often, it's almost like you get too into the machine where it's just like lead, convert, go. When he was like, no, it's really just a matter of communicating and understanding and like you said, doing the right thing. And I really do firmly believe that, over time, by doing that, you guys will grow as a business. I know that's the approach that we take, and we're a technology company. We're not even a law firm. So you guys are even more directly impacting people's lives. So I think that's a great challenge to bring to people.
Now, you talk about that from the business side, Terry, because a lot of firms will get, stuck in that funnel from leads to converted to cost per case and things like that. Mm-hmm. But that cost per case is not a fixed number, right? It can be dynamic if over the next 3 months, you produce more cases out of the leads you already bought, right? That's going to reduce the cost of all the cases on that lead. And I think, there are a lot of firms are digging into analytics, and you guys have a lot of dashboards that help firms do this. And I think some firms get stuck at their call center level of looking at number of minutes on the phone per person, right? And I think the metric should be the number of minutes per case, right? Because if I spend an extra 5 minutes talking to you on the phone and I get 2 cases out of that phone call, I get a work comp case and a disability case, or a work comp case and a motor vehicle case, I'm much more efficient than if I would have not spent that 5 minutes with you and only, talk to you about your work comp claim or things like that. Mm-hmm. Every week, we send weekly emails and communications out on alerting them of new cases that happen all the time. Because I'll tell you, almost 10 years at the firm and dealing with referrals of all kinds, I still don't know all the cases that are available. It's almost impossible. There's so many different types that if we don't even know it and it's our industry, we have to work on that education process and making sure everyone aware, not only ourselves, our staff, our partners, our vendors, but our clients are aware of all the potential benefits that they're eligible for, because there is quite a few of them.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Cool. I'm going to throw my little warning out there, because there are times during the Liticast that I openly try to promote Liticast so directly, but what I will tell you is that Shawn and Shawn Lehocky and Sam, these guys will love to have you come down to their firm and show you, well, when we get back to normal, but show you how they're using Liticast. And one of the amazing things I think you guys do is, and a segue on this communication point, is really keeping that level of communication high with your clients. But just tell the audience a little bit, Shawn, about how you leverage Liticast to do that. What are those modes of communication? How are you tracking that type of thing? You guys do a great job of it. Yeah.
So, it always comes back to the client. But Liticast, number one, we wouldn't be able to have the referral business and send 1,000 law firms a year, cases to 1,000 law firms a year without Liticast. It's really so Liticast is more than just a case management software. It's more than just a replacement for some of the traditional needles or programs like that. It's all of these factors built in, and we use Pardot for our marketing, email marketing campaigns, which is directly integrated into Liticast. We also make sure that the law firms we're sending our clients to through the referral network, they're opening the email, so managing customer service, even not in our doors at other firms, making sure I'm sending it to a firm that's going to call our clients efficiently, quickly, and treat them with the same level of expectation as if we were handling the case in-house. All that factors into giving the client a better experience. And with Liticast, we've seen growth off the charts of, better customer service, higher sign-up rates, sending second and third referrals on cases to make sure we've truly vetted, do you have a claim or not? So that referral network in that community, and, I think new firms entering Liticast now have the benefit of seeing all the firms that are receiving cases in Liticast now from firms like myself or Morgan or some of the other bigger firms. That firm already receives cases through Liticast. They're probably really efficient in technology. They're probably great in servicing their clients. And one of the mindsets that we have is we're not the best firm to handle every type of case. Our philosophy is we want to make sure our clients go to the best lawyers that'll handle their case and get them the best results. And a lot of the times nationwide, that's not our firm. So we want to make sure we're working with the best firms in every state. So your point about bringing firms in, we'd love to have any firm that wants to come see our operations or wants to talk to us about referrals or is a like-minded firm that just wants to talk operations in general, we would love to have them. This community is really important to us.
Absolutely. You guys really stand at the front of that. So, and I appreciate that, because obviously, if you're leveraging not just the technology of Litify, but really the best practices and sort of the process that we really try to really come together on and say, does this work the best for you and your firm, and kind of customize it to it. So won't nerd out too far there, but I appreciate you guys doing that. Shawn, switching gears a little bit, I want to talk a bit about LegalOps, because I know you're doing some interesting things on that side as well. But when you go in and you're trying to figure out how to help a firm, like what are the problems you're looking for? What does that sort of discovery process look like? And what are you guys doing to help firms via LegalOps?
Well, if I can take a step back on how LegalOps was created.
Let me hear that.
Yeah. So, it was actually a conversation with you and a lot of your teammates that said, Litify is going to focus on its core platform, right? And the way I analogize this is Litify is the iPhone of the industry, right? But there's a lot of opportunities for the surrounding vendors and softwares to be integrated in the iPhone and have their own apps and things like that. So LegalOps was built with the mission of integrating the outside vendors and softwares and automations that are core and essential to our practice, so that our staff members and our attorneys never have to leave the Litify screen to go to any other software. And it doesn't mean that we're not going to use other integrations, but Litify is the central hub of our practice. And we want to make sure that we are, integrating medical records, integrating our phone system. So it's really, there's a lot of the same vendors that all law firms use. The names of the vendors might switch, but court reporters, medical records, things like that, all should be integrated in there. So, the data is correct. You can lessen the licenses that you're using. And I think when firms are looking at the cost of implementing software, you have to take into account the cost of time at your staff level. And, the way we analogize this as well is there's a lot of tasks that we pay our staff to do historically. Like, for instance, our first product was medical records retrieval. In a lot of states and a lot of case types, third-party retrieval fees are actually litigation cost. So we started off attacking processes that we wanted to reduce staff hours in-house. We want to be more efficient. But also, we wanted to make sure if there's cost that we can recover by using a vendor, that we're not paying a staff member to do so because it's not a litigation cost that we can recover. The vendor is actually a cost that we can recover. And I know John Morgan's big on that type of stuff as well. So it's a balance between being more efficient, using less software applications when we don't need to, and having everything integrated into Litify, and also being strategic in the type of vendors that we're using and how much time we're spending on certain activities.
By the way, the description of Litify as the iPhone, I'm stealing that, man. That was perfect. I've never really heard you say it like that, and that's actually a great sort of summary of really what we do. And then in the periphery of that is, all these, like you said, all these different providers and what they're doing. And, so you intentionally create what's called an open architecture, so people can kind of integrate to it and bring more value to it. And I would say for us over the past few months, certainly the last 30 days, my team has been super busy with people's requests coming from the outside saying, how do I get into this, sort of app exchange type of environment? And we joke and say we're the legal app exchange, playing off of Salesforce's app exchange or app store. People are more familiar, to use Shawn's iPhone analogy. But that has been a super hot area of our business where, and for us, it's like, if we can drive additional value to a client and not have them leave Litify, and just really not swivel chair outside, and bring more and more integration, and whatever level, if it's just a simple connection or, type of download, great. Or if it's true, like bi-directional sync and working within those systems, that for me, that is, I absolutely love to see that, because now I know my clients at the end of the day are having that experience where it's just easier, faster, more options, better pricing, like that type of stuff is very, very interesting to me. So yeah, it's a good description. Thank you.
Yeah. And I think, we joined you guys, I think in 2016. So when we did our analysis then, we were using over 35 screens on a daily basis of different softwares and different portals and things like that. And our true mission with LegalOps is to get that to zero and just have Litify be the only screen that we have and not go outside of that. And I think we made a lot of progress there. We're not going to solve that world ourselves. We encourage any firm with any idea to talk to you guys or talk to us about all these ideas, because it's only going to help everyone. And there's no way one firm or one company can build all of the necessary apps that are needed, but we all need them. And I think another thing that doing it this way is the language and the communication and even the nomenclature becomes standardized across all law firms. I think one thing that gets frustrating at times in this industry is, you and I will call the same task or, the same event something very different. And it makes integrations tougher. It makes implementations, I'm sure, on your end tougher. If there was a standard vocabulary that we're all using together and all, talking the same way and the data is synchronized, I think all these applications become a lot better as well. So I think that's something the industry as a whole could get better at. And I think by doing integrations and not using all these outside softwares, that's going to help us a nice step in that direction.
Yeah. I see a comment by Jim in South Carolina. Yeah, you constantly should be weighing cost of time versus cost of software. And it's one of the most interesting discussions we have with clients where they'll say, we do it this way right now. And I just say, just think about the time cost there, because that's, for your staff, it's going to be a lot of money. But back to LegalOps for a second, Shawn. So what's next? What are you guys working on? What's coming down the pike? Because I know you guys are always thinking ahead.
Yeah, so we're building a medical portal right now. In our state, there's a lot of interaction in our comp cases between the providers and our clients and ourselves. And I think just like the LRN, it's going to have, we refer a client to a provider. We want to make sure, number one, they're showing up for treatment. And we want to be able to assist the doctor if our clients didn't show up. Number one, we just want to know about it quickly. And number two, we want to make sure that treatment is continuing. One of the things that can really hinder a case is if a client's not treating any longer. And I think that's pretty standard for any type of personal injury or disability case. You have to have that consistent treatment. So if we can assist in that relationship and saying, hey, medical provider, tell me every month, is my client still treating? Number one, did they show up? Are they still treating? And then what is the cost? What are your bills right now? Because if it's a denied case or we're on an LOP, we need to know the running bill amounts. And all that information is not standardized right now. And so it's very similar to the LRN for attorneys, but we're building that for the medical community to make sure our clients are treating and to make sure that we understand what the total bill amounts are every month. And that is seamlessly integrated right back into Litify.
Incredible. What's interesting is that just yesterday we had a couple new hires start at Litify. And one of the new account executives asked me, he's like, where do you see us ever going outside of legal? And what's interesting is that world, sort of the medical world, is always a natural draw to us. And it usually happens because, medical professionals that are working with attorneys on particular matters, they'll see Litify, they'll see something like Litify, and they go, you know what, we could use that. And then they start thinking, and it's tough for us because, particularly for me, how sort of aggressive I am. I'm like, let's do it. Let's sell medical. We really try to stay focused on what we're doing right now. But there's such a nice dovetail that goes into that world where the information that's shared, the way that it's shared, sort of the workflows and processes and notifications that you can have in there, there's just a tremendous amount that can be done. And obviously being built on Salesforce, there's a lot you could do with some basic configuration. So I digress because we don't want to turn this into a medical thing, but I think it's amazing you guys are going down that road because that's going to bring a lot of value to your clients.
Appreciate it. Yeah, it's very exciting. And, having the LRN to kind of model it off of is very beneficial as well.
Yep. The concept was very simple at first, but it's evolved into a nice way to share that information. So, someone's asking this question. Just got this written in, Ari in Florida. And if we could figure this out, then I'd be super impressed, Shawn. But what do you think the next COVID is, or the next unpredictable business threat to hit us? Any thoughts?
I think. Number one, there's always been risks in this industry, whether that's political, legislatively, automation, technology. I think we can't get fixated on worrying about what's next. And, I think we have to have some healthy optimism at this time. Number one, our clients need it. We can't let at the highest level a sense of pessimism, go down into our staff, because we need our staff to be confident and be talking to our clients in a confident way. Mm-hmm. I think there's certain things you can do as a business right now to make sure that no matter what's next, because there will be something, whether that's in a year or 5 years or 10 years, there will be another thing. Or, the industry will change and new case types will evolve. But number one, I think cash is really important right now. I think everyone should be looking at their overhead, their expenses. And with our revenue cycles, a lot of firms haven't felt the impact of the drop in revenue yet, like some other transactional businesses have. So if you reduce your costs now moving forward and understand, what's working and what's not working, you have the ability to hoard some cash right now. Then go to some marketing vendors who have transactional businesses who felt the revenue drop already dropping out, and really say, hey, I'll make a deal for my billboards for next year right now early, but I want a better rate because I'm locking the deal in now. So I think there's a lot of opportunities in marketing and things like right now based on what's happening in other industries, and with the delay in that impact on our industry right now, to secure some better deals for next year to make sure you're in a good spot. Conversely, I think the key for all of this moving forward is to be flexible and be diverse. I think, firms that have one practice area in one city don't have any diversity right now. I think referral for us is that diversity play. It's that insurance that, if something happens in Pennsylvania workers' comp, it'll be a big impact to our firm, but we're set up in a way where we're diversified, and work comp in all 50 states probably isn't going to go away with one stroke of the pen. And as one state changes, we can, shift those resources into other states, and then eventually into Canada and maybe some other countries as well that have like-minded laws with ours. But I think that, staying focused on your expenses, staying focused on opportunities, and staying focused on diversity is really important. And I will say, I was going to challenge earlier, and I didn't get to say it, but I challenge every firm to go back the last 6 months, look at the leads and the potential clients you didn't convert, or clients that you had slippage on that return to work, and go get 10 more cases out of your inventory without focusing on any new marketing. Go find 10 cases, because there's 10 cases there, no matter what size you are. It might take some more conversations on the phone with clients, and then grow that into 100 next month if you're big enough to do so, if you have enough leads. The way that we can get over months of low intakes is to make sure we go backwards and really squeeze every drop out of that month that we can, and help as many people as we can. So, for us, we had the referral department grew out of, our disability practice naturally, because at one time it took, we had to talk to 5 clients to get one case, or originally we had to talk to 2 clients to get one case. Then it became 5, then it became 10. Then it got to a point where that was 40. So that's, one person out of 40 that we're helping for disability, but that's 39 other people that have some type of injury or medical impairment. And you simply ask them, why is a 33-year-old trying to reach out for Social Security disability with a bad back? Well, a percent of them are going to have, a medical injury from birth, or, some type of disease that causes that. But there's going to be a percent of people that have had an injury or an accident. And I think you just got to get creative with your data and understand how to talk to people and how to keep them engaged, and really generate your own cases. Because I promise you, every law firm has cases in their inventory right now that they're sitting on that they don't know about. And I think, what firms like mine can do, and some other big firms, is, we have this network in all 50 states. We make relationships with other law firms all the time that don't want to build that referral network, or don't have the ability to build that network because of their size, that will help them with their cases finding the right home. And, we treat our referral business as its own company. And, those partnerships are basically mini departments for us. So that work comp case I'm sending out in Alabama, I'm treating that like it's my case, and that firm is a part of our firm. We're partners, but it's really, that's our client, and we need to make sure that we vetted all the law firms that are handling our cases. And for other smaller firms that, want to take this challenge up and want to go find some cases that might be outside of their normal practice areas, feel free to reach out to myself or some other big firms, and we'll help you find homes for those cases, and make sure that, you're making money, but more importantly, your clients are being helped even more so than today, because, the power of the brand is really important right now. What can you do in your community? It might not be focused on traditional marketing. People aren't driving around to see billboards the same way they were in some cities. people are cutting cable to save costs based on their financial situation. So people aren't watching commercials necessarily the way they were. People are shying away from times on social media, depending on what type of conversations that are going on at that time, and wanting to get away from some negativity. But what can you do in your community right now to grow your brand? What can you do to solidify your partners, the doctors in your community, the other law firms in your community, and really make sure that you're doing everything you can under your brand to empower your community in your local area, because you want to be known as the local law firm, no matter how big you get. Whatever city you're in, you should be that city's law firm. And I think there's a lot of opportunities in non-traditional marketing right now. And it's really just all back to helping people, and that's our industry. You guys do it as a technology company, but if you focus on your clients and your partners, I think the financial situation will take care of itself, as Sam always says. But that doesn't mean you don't have to be diligent on your expenses and things like that. But I think there's a lot of opportunities out there right now to weather the storm and then grow and then take advantage of opportunities as the market changes.
It's excellent. So if I could sort of summarize there, because you touched on a couple of really key things. I think it's sort of do a reset. So it's a little bit of an analysis of what you're doing, and maybe it's time to strike a good deal moving forward. I'd be remiss if I didn't put my sales union card hat on and say that people are actually coming to us in droves right now because they want to work on their business. They want to understand, they want to use that data, like you mentioned, to drill in, to find cases. And often if you're not sitting with the right technology, you can't do that. So we do have a lot of people that are coming to us to help us with that. And we're happy to do it, by the way, even if to the audience out there, even if we don't sell you Litify, you just want to pick our brain around what we're seeing in the industry, we're happy to do that. And I know Shawn is as well. But I think diversification is a key thing you mentioned, which, that's a tremendous opportunity to do that. And I couldn't agree more with you, Shawn, on the brand and sort of doing the right thing in the business. And yeah, we are a technology company, but on the .org side of our business has been very, very active. There's a lot of opportunity to be active, unfortunately, with the things going on in the world. But I agree with you. I think by sort of doing the right thing now, we're all gonna weather this, and you come out the other side. And if you're a business or a law firm or a technology company that legitimately cares about its community and its customers, you're going to be okay. We're going to certainly, and like you said, have that opportunity to really grow on the other side of it. So cool. Quick question. So kind of when you guys are pretty good at, not that you're like crystal ball soothsayers or anything, but you're pretty good at sort of recognizing trends and sort of preparing for it. But how do you not worry, and how do you actually turn that, or, we all worry, but how do you kind of take that worry and turn it into sort of preparation and being flexible? Just talk a little bit about that, because you guys are very, very skilled at that.
Yeah, I think in general, everyone talks about this fight or flight mode, right? And I think there's going to, what you can't be in that is, if you're a fighter, you're going to take, you're going to fight on keeping your market share. You're going to fight on growing your brand. Or there's going to be some firms that realize, I need to get out of this department or this practice area because, it was a new investment. I thought it was going to give me this return, and it just didn't happen the way it was. I think those are both acceptable at this time. I think where firms are getting in trouble is they're freezing. They're not doing one or the other. They're just stuck. They're not making the necessary hard decisions that they need to with expenses. But they're not making the decision to also move in a different direction. They're kind of just stuck and hoping that tomorrow the light switch will flick back on and their business will go back to what it was in 2019. So I think it's this constant state of working on your business, as you just said, always trying to, how can we do this different? Never get stuck in the same way of doing things, evaluating your processes, your opportunities, and really the different case types that are always coming up. Look, there's going to be automation that gets rid of car accidents to a big percent in a couple of years, right? But there's going to be new types of law that come out all the time. And there's things that are going to happen in the industry in the positive way that we don't even know about right now. There's going to be new jobs that happen in the market. If you think about social media and some of the deep fakes that happened, or people's likeness being used inappropriately, I see that being a type of law at some point. My face and voice were used in a certain way, or maybe I even want to license my voice to be used in a certain way when a computer can handle that. Is that an industry that comes up? What type of law firm needs to handle that? So I think that's a little longer term. I think it's really staying focused on the data that's coming out from all these sources, understanding what's happening in the world, what's happening locally. One thing we really have our eye on right now is what's happening in nursing homes, especially in the Northeast. Nursing homes, or traditionally, they produce a lot of terrible, terrible cases, bad situations, bed sores and things like that. And we've seen a dip in those cases right now because it's usually not the people in the nursing homes calling us. It's usually their children or visitors that go see them and see the problem and give us a call. Mm-hmm. So we're anticipating a huge increase in those type of cases in the short run. So I think, it's being flexible. It's not sticking to any one thing and understanding where are the opportunities and let's go get them, and having the right team and infrastructure behind you to do so. You got to act quickly. So we spent the last couple of months working on our internal structure, our organizational structure, our infrastructure, and really solidifying that no matter what direction we go in, this team can get it done. We trust each other. We believe in each other. We're going to hold each other accountable so that when something new hits, we're all working together quickly and not dealing with a lot of the BS that, some corporate businesses have to deal with to get approvals and things done quickly. So taking advantage rapidly of opportunities and being flexible I think is key.
Couldn't agree more. Question from the audience, Bill Denninger from our buddy. Bill, hello, man. Thank you for watching. Appreciate it. Bill's asking, how do you differentiate your firm versus your competitors for referral relationships? Very good question. Yeah, so,
there's referral relationships are very unique. They're very specific. Each one is a little different. We like to get to know our law firm. So we have account managers. We like to know, what sports team does our partners like? What's their kids' birthdays, things like that. It's really, I think the way we differentiate ourselves is we try to find the right specific law firm for that client's instance. And we don't like to put a lot of onus on a law firm trying to go through a bunch of referrals that they're not necessarily able to or want to handle. We're making sure we fit the right case with the right law firm. And we actually make sure 2 or 3 law firms look at every referral before that client is told that they can't be helped. So I think, making sure we're always ahead in our relationships. We never, we always want to be sending out more than we're receiving from most law firms. But really we're there as partners, as consultants. We invite all of our referral firms to come to our office, see our operations. We don't try to take any higher referral fees than normal. Because we want the other firms to grow. So, I don't want to be sucking all the money out in a referral fee from that law firm. I want to grow together, and I want them to get bigger so I can send them more cases and we can grow naturally. So it's really treating referral firms as an extension of our firm and not necessarily, hey, I can't help this client, I'm going to send it over there and then it's done and I forget about it. It's really an extension of our practice.
So, and then on their side, on the actual handling side, I know you have some amazing relationships across the country. What are the ones that really stand out? Maybe not the names, but just sort of what are they doing on a consistent basis? Obviously, taking care of the clients is first and foremost. But is there anything else kind of stands out that some of these firms do? Is it responsiveness? I'm sure it's a number of things, but
yeah, customer service is number one, and that's a big category. But calling our clients quickly, trying to help as best they can, not cherry picking cases. Because referral cases, they only have an acquisition cost if you win. So there's firms that can cherry pick your referrals and only take the slam dunks. But it's really being a partner of ours, keeping us in the loop, being ethical, following all the rules and laws of that district, and really just being honest and trustworthy. I think if it's a relationship that has trust and client service, then it's going to be good for both sides. So yeah, I think being responsive, good customer service, paying referral fees when they're due, and trusting each other, it goes a long way.
Excellent. Yeah. So question I had, and it's actually it's kind of germane to a lot of our relationship in the past. We've spent plenty of time at conferences and we've even thrown our own events, and I miss it. Frankly, I miss you, man. But we've spent, a fair amount of time in Vegas, in Florida, wherever, just going to these shows. How are you replacing that, or can you replace that? I'd just love to pick your brain a little bit on is there a way to do this virtually? Like what? Because Liticast is obviously an example of taking our Litiquest roadshow and putting it into this format, and it's been great. We've been able to get guys like yourself on, people like yourself, and do that. And later in the year, we're planning sort of a user conference with some key clients and stuff they're doing on our platform. May have you back on for that. Just to replace that in-person experience. But I'd love your perspective on, can you replace it? If you do, how do you do it? Like, how are you thinking about that?
So I think there is a need to replace it no matter what. I wouldn't want to go without anything. I think the in-person events are still the best option, and I hope they come back soon. But our firm is also planning a webinar for all of our referral partners or any potential partners that want to join. I think staying in contact is the most important. But I think we've changed a little bit recently where, we would try to talk to a lot of people at one time, have the big events and, work the room, a couple hundred firms. But I think based on what a lot of firms are going through right now, there's a need for more one-on-one communication regularly. So we're trying to reach out more often and just, how are you doing? How can we help? Things like that. And I encourage other firms to do that with each other. There's enough cases where, look, even if you're in the same city, there's benefits to working together. So webinars are good. Things like this are good. But I think no firm should be ashamed of reaching out for advice or help or things like that. We're all in this together. But I think constant communication will go a long way. But I still think the business development in-person events are more the most beneficial thing we can do for the industry, but webinars will be what we're doing in the fall as well.
Yeah, and it's unfortunately, it's not like there's a ton of it's not like there's an end in sight. So I think that there's they're going to have to continue to evolve, continue to think of new things. We're constantly racking our brain with, because I think the other thing too is people have a little bit of webinar fatigue right now, or Zoom fatigue, where it's great, another Zoom. So we're trying to think different, differentiate ourselves and do things that are going to, draw people, but ultimately drive value, be of interest, be helpful, that kind of thing. So it's for sure an iterative process, no doubt.
Really. And I think that same process is happening with, what's happening in your office space. Mm-hmm. It's hard to really come up with a plan on when that could change, even with a date that it can change. It depends on how many of your employees are going to be homeschooling their kids. And I think, a lot of law firms and ours, we have a lot of office space in the city. So coming up with that plan has been very difficult without that end date there. But again, it all goes back to being flexible and understanding what the needs of our employees are, our clients are. But I think, whatever we can do to see people in person soon, even if it's on one-on-one basis, it will be a good thing.
Agreed. 100% agreed. Cool. Shawn, today has been phenomenal. Thank you very, very, very much for coming on. This has been a wealth of knowledge. And I really do look forward to, getting back in person when we can, for sure, but just keeping this dialogue going. And again, I really appreciate your team's efforts, because they're constantly thinking about ways to do things better, way to leverage our technology. And you guys are we love clients like you who are throwing ideas at us, challenging us, thinking about new ways to do things, thinking about the industry. So I really can't thank you and your team enough for all those efforts. I appreciate it, Terry. Thank you. And thank you so much for coming on. So to wrap up here, actually tomorrow, Ken Jones from Tannenbaum Keel will be on, the chief technologist there. I'll be hosting again that program. Very interesting sort of app development approach that Ken takes, and we'll be nerd out a little more than maybe we did today, but it should be very interesting. And more shows coming up next week. Please stay tuned for our schedule. Follow us, like I said, on LinkedIn, YouTube, our own website, Facebook Live. Shawn, thank you again, man. Have a great day, and my best to you and your team. Thank you. Same to you. Take care, everyone.